This year I wanted to do a little bit of a bow review, and I hope every year I can continue to grow this and test out more bows. I did shoot a lot of the bows this year. These were just the three that really intrigued me, and I really wanted to try the short axle to axle bows. I haven't shot one since the Mathews Switchback XT. I am not sponsored by any bow company, which is really nice because I'm able to go out and shoot whatever I want to. But I just really wanted to try the Mathews lift with all the hype this year. And then also the Mach 30 just intrigued me with the short axle to axle, but the weight and then supposedly the stability of it. Anyway, so I've got a video showing all these bow builds. Yes, they all have a little bit of different accessories, but I took them all out, shot them quite a bit, just to kind of get a feel for them and make sure that I didn't miss anything in my testing. So I've got three bows here today that I'm testing out. The first one here is the Mathews Lift 29.5. I have the Lift 33, which I'll show you next, and then also the PSE Mach 30. So in the past, I've always shot 33-inch axle-to-axle bows. That's just kind of where I felt the most comfortable with, and I feel the most stable and can get the most yardage out of that setup. But with these new lifts coming out, it's been a long time since I've shot a short axle-to-axle bow. And there was a lot of hype with this bow, so I decided I'm going to pick one up, set it up, and try it. So I'm just going to go a little bit of an overview of this bow. Most of you probably already know the specs of it, so all I'm going to go over is what I found to be that I really liked about the bow, and then also a couple things I didn't. So these bows are a little bit harder to tune. Yes, you can get them to tune, but to micro tune, it's mostly a rest adjust. You can move the top hats and change them out to move your cams left or right, but those are going to be for a pretty big tear. Minor tears are a little bit trickier to get out of there, so you maybe might have to play with your setup a little bit more to get that tuned perfect. Really, I didn't have much of a problem getting it tuned to me. The biggest thing is just make sure your cams are timed perfectly. That's what seemed to work the best for me. I really didn't have to mess with the rest too much. I think I'm actually still at 0. Yeah, so I'm right at 0 on this Mathews integrated rest. So I really didn't have to move that at all. The biggest thing was just making sure that it's perfectly timed. As long as my cams were perfectly timed, that seemed to get me tuned up perfect with this bow. I did have to change out the top hats, so I'm a little bit farther to the left of the bow than the right. Probably not going to be able to see it really well there, but my cam is a little bit farther on the left side of the bow. But all in all, I really do like the integrated stuff. Works really good. It's really nice to put in a bow case. You can just kind of loosen these up, slide your stabilizers in, put it in your bow case, you're good to go. The limb legs are awesome, probably the best on the market in my opinion. Super light, holds really good for a 29.5-inch bow, and I actually shoot it a lot better than I thought I would. I actually will show you the groups out of all of these bows at the end as I'm going through my testing of each one, but it held really good, shoots really well. Not sure if it'll be the bow that I'll use this year for this season. The whole point of this video is for me to pick a bow that I'm going to hunt with this year. But I really like this setup. Holds pretty good. It doesn't hold quite as well as the Lift 33. I'll go ahead and talk about it now. Next up, the Mathews Lift 33.5. Same kind of thing as the 29.5. The lifts are just a really great holding, shooting bow. I really like the bridge lock technology. Mathews has some of the best accessories, I think, the way that they put them together and the way that they fit their bows. Other companies are coming out with new things. That's what I have is the Viper stabilizers on here. Way cheaper than the Mathews. So some of that stuff that is coming out aftermarket, I'm glad that some other people are making accessories that fit the bridge lock technology. This bow holds really good. It actually holds the best out of all the bows that I'm testing. There's only 3 of them. Hopefully next year I might test a little bit more, but for this year it's getting down the wire and I really need to pick a bow, so here I am testing them. The 33, it's it's a solid shooting bow. I really do actually enjoy shooting this one. Like I said, to me it's the most stable out of the three, but it makes sense because it's also the longest axle to axle bow. Really had no problems tuning this bow either. It's kind of the same thing. I did have a little bit of problems with the string stretching on this one, so I had to keep kind of going back and making sure my cams were timed. So I did have to adjust that a couple times, but with getting into a vehicle and stuff, I'm sure getting warmed up, that stretched the strings a little bit. But after I adjusted that and made sure my cams are in time, it shot really well. It's a good shooting bow. I'll show you the groups with it as well. Shot a really good group at 50 yards with it. I definitely have to do a little bit of adjusting the sight left and right to get it to hit in the exact spot. But if I had to pick a bow right now over the 29.5 versus the Lift 33, I would probably go with the 33. Like I said earlier, I just like the longer axle to axle bows. Just holds a little bit more solid. I'm going to do a speed test here and after I get done with this, and that might kind of sway my mind one way or the other. Both shoot really good. Like I said, I was really surprised with the 29.5 how well it held for that short of an axle to axle bow. Same thing, the rest was actually at 0. I didn't have to move anything on the rest. The cams are in the exact same position as the 29.5, so a little bit further to the left. Really like this setup, but stay tuned till the end and I'll pick the winner. Next up is a PSE Mach 30. So I really actually had no intention of even getting this bow for this year. I just thought 30 inches is way too short. But I picked up the Lift 29.5 and I didn't shoot it too bad. And I was like, man, for a light bow that's short, I'll just go ahead and give it a try. And I really like the look of the bow. The grip, the just standard grip, feels a lot better than the first carbon bows they came out with. This is non-biased. I had shot PSE before, so I decided I'm going to just throw this one into the mix this year of the 3 bows that I'm trying. I really did like it. It's got the EC2 cams on it. I will say it's probably a smoother draw cycle, but I've shot PSE, so that might be something that I'm just more accustomed to. But to me, it draws a little bit smoother than the lifts do. But it held really good. You see the groups here, I'll show you them at 50 yards with this bow. Holds really good. Really don't have many complaints. It's not quite as stable as the Lift 33 or a 33-inch bow in my opinion, but it's still really stable. You can shoot pretty good groups with it, and it actually surprised me on that. I'll have to check the speeds on it here to see how fast it actually is compared to the other 2 bows here. But with that smoother draw cycle, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a little bit slower. But for me, it's a little bit more enjoyable to shoot because of that draw cycle. But both of the lifts aren't really that bad either. You just have to get used to that difference in draw cycle. Like most PSEs, especially the new ones here, you got the easy shim cam system, so you don't even need a bow press. You can just pull these out and interchange them. As long as the shims add up to that same amount, you can switch them out very easily with just the little tool. I really like that. They did do away with the, what is it? They did do away with being able to adjust the roller guard. So now you just have this built in. You can buy the aftermarket one if that's something you adjusted. I really never had to adjust mine, so that didn't bother me much. It does still have the yoke system, so if you did have to do a little bit of micro adjustments, you can do that. Really didn't have to even adjust this. This shot really well. I did throw the Hamskea on here. That's just what I've had on PSEs in the past, so that's just what I threw on this bow. Like I said, I didn't really even plan on picking up one of these, but I'm glad I did. It's a nice shooting bow. Another thing that I should mention about all these bows, yes, they have different accessories on them. They're not all the same, so that could change the test a little bit, but for me, it's just how does the bow hold, how does it feel in my hand, and how comfortable am I shooting at a little bit longer distance. Because the thing that gets me is you can pick up a bow and shoot them all in the pro shop, and if you're only shooting 10 yards, it's going to be really, really tough to get an accurate comparison on how they're going to hold at some distance. And then I just like to shoot a little bit of a group and see how well I can shoot with them. I'm going to do some speed tests on these bows. And then at the end, I'll tell you which one I like the best. But for right now, I'll go ahead and show you the groups I shot with each one of these bows. And then I will do the speed test. Today I'm testing the 3 bows that I built. The first up is a Mathews Lift 29.5. I'm going to go ahead and shoot a group at 50 yards. I'm going to shoot 3 arrows with each of them. The main thing is just seeing how it holds at 50 yards and also the group that I can get out of the bow. Okay, let's go take a look and see how they look. Okay, so I had my camera running so it got all the arrows coming in at the same time. Here's my group. I was shooting for the upper right dot, so a couple of them are a little bit to the left, but overall not too bad. Next up, I have the Mathews Lift 33. I should mention too, I'm shooting the exact same 3 arrows for all of these bows, just so that way it's consistent. Okay, let's go check them out. Alright, so again, aiming for the upper right dot. Those are all a good group, just all to the right. One thing I probably should mention beforehand is I haven't actually sighted any of these bows in. I just got them shooting to where they're hitting at 50. Got them pretty close, so it could be right or left a little bit, but the height should be pretty close. So that is the group with the Lift 33. Last up, I have the PSE Mach 30. big gust of wind came right when I was about ready to draw back, so I'm trying to keep this as fair as possible. So trying to shoot with the least amount of wind as possible. Just a little bit of wind on that last one, but I think it's pretty consistent. Let's check it out. Okay, so again, aiming for the upper right. All three of them are in the dot. I feel really confident with that at 50 yards. Go ahead and I'll go back and kind of do an overview of all of the bows, and then I'm going to do a speed test on all of them. So I'll just go through each bow here and what I liked and didn't like about each one, and then I'll tell you which one that I'll be using for the 2024 season. So I'll start off here with the Mathews Lift 29.5. I decked this one out with all the Mathews accessories, all the inline stuff, so the bridge lock. I was actually really shocked at how well this bow held. It didn't quite hold as well as the 33 in my opinion, or the Mach 30. But you know, a 33-inch axle bow versus a 29.5, that makes sense in my opinion, because longer axle bows should be a little bit more stable. I was actually really pretty impressed with the bow, and the 29.5 did have the best speeds out of all the bows I tested. That's Hoyt, even the Bowtech, and all of them. So the Mathews was definitely the fastest bow of this year that I tested. Held really well. It does have a little bit more of a harder draw cycle, I would say, than some of the other bows out there. I'll move on to the Mathews 33. So with this one, I went with a little bit different stabilizers, same rest. Other than that, pretty similar, just a couple of different accessories, sight and everything on it. I was really impressed with how well this bow held, but for me, I'm a little bit shorter draw length. I usually do shoot a 33-inch bow, so this one held really well for me, and just all the string angles, everything felt really comfortable to me. So I really like this bow. It is a little bit slower, which is a little bit of the reason why I didn't go with it, because I am looking for a hunting bow that's stable, but also has the speed that I can still get with a short draw length. Overall, it's a great shooting bow. If I had to choose one that I would use, if I was just whitetail hunting, I'd probably go with the 29.5. If I was doing more Western style hunting and shooting longer distance, I would probably go with the 33. Now on to the PSE Mach 30. Really like shooting this bow. It is just really fun to shoot. Had a little bit more comfortable draw cycle to me. I've shot PSE in the past, so maybe it's just because I'm a little bit more familiar with the bow and that cam style. But for me, it just had a really smooth draw cycle. Held really well for this short of a bow. I honestly thought the 29.5 would hold better because of the longer riser, but this bow shoots really, really good. Just going to keep this short and to the point here. The PSE Mach 30 is what I will be using this year going forward. It's just held really good. It's a short bow, but I can still shoot it really good at distances. They just knocked it out of the park. I never imagined a bow this short to shoot as well as it does. And like I said, I am a shorter draw length and a shorter guy. So everybody's always, oh, you should shoot a shorter axle-to-axle bow, but I really like the stability of a 33-inch bow. But this one seemed to kind of go against the grain here, and I shoot it just like I do my 33-inch bow. So really impressed with it. It is what I will be using this year. Out of the 3 bows that I really got to shoot and shoot at some distance, this just seemed to perform the best. I'm shooting a 26-inch draw length, and I think I had a 380-ish grain arrow, and then also a 443 grain arrow. So that's what I got for the testing here, and I'll show you those speeds out of each one of them, weigh in with each of those arrows. Show you the groups at 50 yards. I didn't actually sight in these bows perfectly, so the 50-yard group, yes, it's not completely in the dot with all of them, but it shows the group and how I was holding with each one. I really wish I would have had more time to do more of the testing. This was just kind of a quick kind of get everything pretty close to dial in, figure out the elevation at 50, and shoot and see which one I'm going to go with. Time's running out on me, and I got to get everything set up for hunting. So I've got some work cut out here and a lot of things to do to get ready for elk season and deer season. I really appreciate you watching this. If you're in between all of these bows, all of the bows out there are great bows. Really, it's just which one fits you the best. I found the PSE fit my hand for grip the best, but the PSE or the Mathews have a lot of aftermarket grips. And I think most people should be able to find one that will fit your hand comfortably. I really, really do appreciate you watching this. Please subscribe to my channel if you found this to be helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and I will answer them the best I can. I do have a bow build on all of these. Go check those videos out if you are interested. And as always, stay hidden.